3, 2. All right, so we are with the nude notice board. Here's our first ever attempt at doing something virtual and distance from the nude media headquarters up here in Middletown, Rhode Island, where it's probably about 20 degrees cooler, but plenty happening up here. So we're going to check in with our nude team that's going to be on site and provide some insight to everybody here who's racing this weekend. So let's start real quick with what is described in the window as Linda Ambrose, is Jen Davis and Sue Riley representing our team, and it looks like they've probably taken over Linda Ambrose's office. So you've newly arrived to Annapolis. You're the out-of-towners. What's your first impressions of what's happening down there?
Really hot. We just left a nice, cool New England or northern New England, and here we are. But we've already run into a couple sailors, and everyone's psyched. So the weather looks like we're going to get there and cool down and pick up some wind. So I think we're in for a good regatta. It's going to be a little strange. This may be the most I see anybody, but it'll be good.
All right, cool. Yeah, no, I can attest from up here the challenges that Jen and her team have gone through to work with all the clubs to pull this kind of miracle of the summer off to be, I guess, be the only official nude of the summer. So nicely done, Jen. I'm sure it feels good to be there. So on the organizational side and the housekeeping, do you have anything important for people racing this weekend that they need to know as far as anything? Anything goes.
Probably the most important thing to know is that we put out a deadline of 7 o'clock for all payments and all waivers. And sometimes we can be flexible, but this year we are entirely inflexible. I will say my hat is off to 99% of the competitors who have done everything we've asked them to do, actually reading the stuff we put out. So thank you guys. And also big thanks to AYC for rearranging schedules, working as closely as we have together to actually be able to pull this off. So those are probably the two most important things I have to say.
All right, awesome. Well, we'll turn that over to Jonathan or Commodore, Mr. Bartlett. Thank you very much for having our team down there and keeping the new tradition going. What say ye from your throne there?
Well, thank you to Sailing World for making this happen. We've been this has been touch and go since May when we had to cancel the event, to postpone it. And we worked very, hard. It was really nice that, it's easy to work with Jen and Sue on this to really find the spot. Linda Ambrose is to be commended and the sailing committee at Annapolis Yacht Club. So I thank everybody. I also am appreciative of Helly Hansen and, of course, Mount Gay for sticking with us all through this and other sponsors that'll be named later. I believe really for, Annapolis Yacht Club, the ability to have and be a host, a co-host, organizing authority in this regatta. I think this is year 21. So, we're very excited to be able to do it again and not to have that record broken. It's really, really good for the sailors down here. We have 80 some competitors, which are, I would say, very much almost everyone is local. Yeah. And people are ready to, to get out there and go sailing. And since, late May, early June, we have been doing some racing in Annapolis on the Chesapeake Bay. So the opportunity to bring the nude back, we jumped at, getting a chance to host it again. So thank you so much. And you can't run a nude regatta in Annapolis Harbor without Severance Sailing Association and Eastport Yacht Club. Really, you get the three clubs working together like they do to coordinate their clubs, particularly, in this COVID environment. We have boats at all clubs, all three clubs sailing out to the race course every day. And what I can ask all the competitors to do, that if, whatever club you're sailing out of, please follow the guidelines that club has posted. And it is on the notice board on the yacht scoring that for the event. So it's really important to follow that. We're asking everybody to wear masks while they're on the properties of the clubs. And again, thanks to everyone for coming. Thank you, Dave and Sailing World, for making it happen.
All right, thanks for making it happen. And it sounds like this is the first official 3-day regatta of the summer. Then you've been the city has been able to pull off. All right, awesome. So you've had
3 days, yeah.
You've had a great Wednesday night series happening, and a two-bridge fiasco, which seemed pretty exciting. It seemed, I think Zeke, who's on this call here, had an interesting start that I saw. At least the photos that came out of it tried to go the wrong way. So maybe they tried to go the right way this weekend, huh? But cool. So real quick, Kevin Reeds,
Yeah.
you are managing the on the water circus. What
That's right.
what do people need to know? What's the scoop?
Yeah, I think we're ready to go. We're excited. This is, as you said, it's our first 3-day regatta, but we've been running races for a couple of months now in a bunch of different formats. Special shout out to Peter Gordon from AYC, who will run our big boat course, and Sharon from EYC, who will run the other course for us. So without, as Jonathan said, without the help of the other clubs, we probably couldn't get this done. But we're excited. We're going to see a lot of good weather, interesting weather. Hurricane, or what's left of Hurricane Laura, will come through on Saturday, and we'll get some rain, I think, and that'll be kind of sporty. So it should be a good weekend. We're excited. Hope everybody else is too.
Any tips on launching procedures, or just sort of the management of boats on off the water, or is that all kind of explained in the official notice board?
It's pretty well explained, but I think the key is to be patient. Don't expect that you're going to come down here at the last minute and be able to launch. Come early, get it done, and then we're asking boats not to raft up on the docks here at Annapolis Yacht Club. But once you've launched, you got your stuff ready to go, get off the dock and go sailing, and then same when you come back in. Get to the dock, get your boat hauled, and put it away, and please wear your mask. When you're near people in the yard and then on the docks, and have fun, be safe. So
cool. Are you operating from the closet this weekend, or are you going to get a chance to get out of that thing?
I'm actually in the race committee closet today, just checking equipment one more time, and it was a nice quiet place to have this call. So I'm hoping I'll be out on the water every day, and maybe we'll do some of this from out there.
Excellent. So that door doesn't lock from the outside. Is that what I'm understanding?
I don't think it does. I'll find out in a few minutes.
All right, cool. Thank you. So let's check it with our on-course race committees, starting with Sharon. Any tips for your course, or what are you thinking this weekend?
Well, we've got a very mixed bag of racers on Division 1. We have the Vipers, we have the J30s, we have Etchells, we have J24s, J22s, and Allberg 30s. So it's going to have its challenges. We've got fast sport boats and slower keel boats. So it's going to be an interesting couple of days, but I have every confidence that we're going to have a great race. Eastport is being joined by some of the SSA race committee folks, so that since they're not running a circle this year, we invited some of them to join us. So we're going to have a mixed team out there, which will also be fun, rather exciting. So we've got new team members, but I have every confidence the sailors are going to have great races.
Outstanding. All right. And Peter, how about for you?
Well, I think this is a very exciting weekend. We've been looking forward to it for some time. Kevin and Sandy Grosvenor, co-chairs of our race committee, have put together, I think, a great team that I can work with. And we have the J35s, J105s, J70s, and J80s. And I think it's just going to be great racing. The weather conditions should be very interesting, and it'll be a challenge. So I want to again thank Nude and Sailing World for sponsoring the event and doing it for as long as Jonathan had mentioned, and all the other sponsors that have helped support the event. So thank you. And I think that our mission is to provide great racing for the competitors.
All right, great. And any tips on your course on from the perspective of your committee vote on what's going to work in terms of tidal flow?
Well, we're going to be out in the bay outside of R2, about 4 or 5 miles basically from the harbor entrance, from the inner harbor. And I think that I would encourage all of the sailors to read the SIs, because we have a bit of a different course configuration this year by having a finished boat. So the finish line is offset on the starboard side of the signal boat. So that's a new thing for them, and it will probably give them some interesting downwind tactics.
All right, good to know. All right, so well, let's turn to Zeke then, because I understand you're on a J80, so you're on his course. What are you looking at? Well, tell me a bit quickly who you're sailing with and what's the program and what your thoughts are going into first day of racing tomorrow.
I'll be on a J80 down on Peter's course out past Tolly Point, sailing with Will Crump and team. Looking forward to sailing with those guys. It'll be our first event as a team, so we'll be kind of learning each other and figuring out how to race together. I'm really looking forward to it. I think that course, I haven't spent a ton of time sailing on that course. I think usually it's a fairly straightforward race course if we have a typical kind of southerly. Tomorrow we're looking at a very light westerly, which I'm expecting will make the course pretty much as dynamic a course as we can get here on the bay. I think, as Peter mentioned, we're going to have to go out 4 or 5 miles where the water is likely to be quite a bit deeper down at the starting line than up at the weather mark, where the weather mark will be. So the tide can definitely be a factor. And up by that weather end of the course in tomorrow's westerly, we're going to also be running into Tolly Point up there where there's a big shoal and the current can be kind of doing anything. There's some eddies up there and it can be a bit unpredictable on kind of how to play it up there, and sort of depending on how far right or left the course is, you may have some wind kind of funneling out of the Severn River there or bending around out of the South River if we're further to the left. So it's going to be really dynamic. I think it looks like the high tide is around 2. Typically, in my experience, the flood tide is not nearly as strong as the ebb tide typically. So I think in those kind of morning races, the current will probably not be as big a factor. If we stay out late in the afternoon and the ebb starts going, it might run a little bit harder. But I think for all the courses here, the biggest thing is going to be traffic management with so many fleets on one course, and especially the lighter air tomorrow. I think staying out of the blob, as I like to call it, staying away from the other boats and kind of committing to an edge is going to be important to keep clear breeze. So that's what we'll be looking for.
All right, look for the gains on the edges. And you agree to that, Jonathan?
I do. It's there's nothing like sailing outside of R2 out in the bay. It's one of my favorite spots to race in Annapolis, and for a lot of the old timer nude participants, that's the main race course through the years.
All right, excellent. So Austin, we've just spoken quickly this morning, and you tell me a little bit. You're doing the Vipers with looks like an all couples team, which I guess is a household rule, even though it probably still doesn't apply. But what's happening in that circle or that fleet, and what are you thinking for the nearshore course?
Yeah, so as Sharon mentioned, we have quite the spattering of fleets and types of boats on our course. We have, like where the Vipers, we have asymmetricals, and then all the way to the Allberg 30s who are probably going to be going, straight downwind. So we're going to have a lot of weaving in and out of different boats and fleets, especially because we have, I guess, 5 different types of boats on our course. So it's going to be very crowded. And I think, as Zeke mentioned, that maybe coming off of the edges is going to help a lot in terms of when you get into, like I call it the cone at the bottom of the course, where you're coming into that leeward gate. Coming from an edge is going to be pretty important, where if you're down that middle of the course, there's going to be almost no air, especially tomorrow in the westerly. And I think where we're sailing, the current's going to be kind of a bit different than where the guys are on the blue course. We have the water coming, in or out of the Severn, and then we also have the little offshoot off to the north. So I think in that westerly, we might, as we get to the top of the course, there's going to be some geographical effects, coming out of the Severn and then off of the North Shoal as well. So I think we're going to have maybe a steady first half of the beat, or steady-ish compared to the top, and then I think anything can happen once we get to the top of that windward beat.
Sounds familiar for Annapolis. How would Stuart Walker play?
He'd go left.
He'd be wrong. He'd be wrong, and then he'd write about it.
Yeah, I'm just excited to watch Jonathan and Zeke go at it tomorrow on the J80 course too.
All right, so who do you think is who's going to come out top on day one?
I don't know. I'd have to say JB if I'm keeping it political.
Yeah, I would say JB as well. Yeah, keep it political. Go with the Commodore. He's got the experience. I'm going to be following him anyway, so it's going to be hard to beat him by following him.
Yeah.
Thanks for being nice.
So we talk quickly. Zeke, do you have any weather you want to look at, or do you want to do a screen share, or I can try to pull one up here, or do you want to just kind of leave it to everyone else knows how to look at the weather and pick it?
Yeah. I mean, I don't have anything pulled up to screen share, but I kind of generally just look through the different sail flow forecasts and keep an eye on the tide. It looks like it's going to be cloudy tomorrow, which might actually favor the westerly hanging in there. If it was going to be a hot, sunny day like we had today and yesterday, then that southerly might try to fill. So I think it's going to be light and shifty out of the west, and just keep an eye on the difference in current, I think. But it's mostly going to be about staying in pressure and staying away from the big fleets, I think.
Okay. And if this low, with the remnants of Laura, does track one with it, does that impact the tidal flow in any way that should be noticeable, or to make
I would think the only thing I'd be looking at, well, if we're going to get a bunch of rain on Saturday, then Sunday may be the day that the tide is going a little bit different. And the only thing that can really make a big difference is if they open up some of the locks up the bay. And if they open those up and let all the water drain out, then there won't be any flood. It'll all be an ebb, and it'll be a very, very strong ebb with some driftwood and other matter that may be floating in the water. But I think that with that storm, it's not supposed to go that far north, so I don't think they'll be opening up the locks up north. So I don't think it'll be anything too fancy.
Okay, good. No worries about logs and refrigerators and such. So
hopefully not.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, let's go with hopefully not.
Okay, cool. Well, when I looked, it looked like all the models were sort of at least pointing in all the same direction all 3 days. So it looked like a little light start, but then great breeze for the rest of the weekend. Is that everybody's summation?
Yep. Right. Yeah. Might get a little wet on Saturday, but other than that.
All right. Well, wet means good for Helly Hansen, and who obviously can't be with us today. They're out traveling around. And so maybe, Jen, if you could close it out with any final tips from as far as the parties go, or anything on land that, we need to be aware of. There's no big party, so you got a party on your boat, and,
First, let's just dial one step back and say thanks to Helly Hansen, because what is truly amazing is, usually they're here, they have the big setup, and they have all the apparel for sale. And this time they're completely, and they always are in it for the sailor, but this time they really stepped back and said, look, we're not even going to come down and be there, because all that does is draw people together, and we have to all be as safe as we can. But we're 100% behind the regatta. So my hat is off to Helly. Thank you so much for letting us pull this off in the conditions that we have to work within. Going back to the party part, there's Mount Gay, who we, again, can't do this without him. So there's Mount Gay specials at the club. If you can get there, just go buy your bottle. This time it's on you guys. Next year it'll be on me again. So buy your bottle, drink on your boat, stay 6 feet apart, but have a good time. North, thank you guys for sponsoring. You guys have been with us forever and ever, and really our hats off. And doing this with us is huge. You guys are an organic part of the event, so it's great. Dave mentioned sun sail. So we finally had to pull the plug and give up our false hope that we we're going to get to the VBIs this year. So, but we are still going to have a winner, and she's actually still here, which is amazing. So they're still going to award a winner, and you're either going to get a voucher and you can use it between now and next October, or you can, if you win, you can come race with us next year, 2021. So there's still all the advantages of winning a class and being a part of that whole thing for us. So thank you, Sunsail, again, for also sticking with us. And this year, kind of cool, Torquedo came in. So, and they're only doing Annapolis, and they were doing Marblehead as well. So Torquedo stepped up, which is cool. So they'll be here next year. So next year we'll get back to that big party thing, and I will personally serve you guys Mount Gay if you want, because you stuck with us. We're here. We're going to pull this off and do the best we can. And next year we can all drink together instead of Zoom together.
Cool.
Way more fun than this. Yes.
And Sue, any word from you before we close this out?
No, I'm just hoping we get some good racing in, and thank you for everyone who's making this happen. Between the yacht clubs, the sponsors, Sailing World. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, it's amazing to see as the big New York Yacht Club events up here get canceled because of the challenges of people, coming from the places that I think, as we said early on in this whole pandemic, that this would be a good spark for local sailing. And so this event is obviously a good example that, if you got enough bodies on the bay, you can make it happen and keep it local, which is very cool. So, great. Well, everybody, we're going to be doing this for those, I guess, watching on the social channels. We're going to do this every night. We will have Zeke and Austin back and some special guests as we can find them coming off the water to do a quick debrief of sorts, maybe some sail trim tips and such, or anything that we can kind of learn from the day, and any special announcements we'll pull in the race committee types if they need to spread anything back out. So that's it for me. Thank you, everybody, for jumping in on this. And from those of us up here in Newport, hope you have an outstanding weekend of racing, and can't wait to hear.
We'll
Thank
miss
you.
Thanks,
All right,
Dave.
Jeff.
Thanks to everybody.
so much.
Guys.